Hi, welcome back to another episode of Death Blow Podcast. Subscribe, like and share my videos. Death Blow Podcast is even on Spotify, Castbox, Podpay, Podtoppen.se, TuneIn and other platforms. You can check in the description. Instagram and Facebook if you want to check the new contents and if you want to write me. Death Blow Podcast introduce for the new year something. If you want to have an interview to promote your band, write on DM or through email and let's see what we can do. A new year has begun and the new episodes are coming. This time I want to talk about Merciless, this underground band from Strängnäs, Sweden that even met the True Mayhem band back in the days. So let's start. Merciless formed at the beginning of 1986. The line-up at the time was Fredrik Carlén on bass and background vocals, Erik Wallin on guitar and Stipen on drums, real name Stefan Karlsson. After a few months, they found a singer called Kalle. Erik and Stipen played in a hockey team and it's there they met him. First the name for the band was Obsessed and Black Mass later, but then the name Merciless fitted better for this evil sound. The first logo was designed by Carlén. On June 18, 1987, in shopping at the Svangrummet studio, they recorded their first demo called Behind the Black Door, released on 8 July of the same year in cassette format only, recorded and mixed in just one day. Listening to it, the fusion between the death and thrash metal is really evident. The influence of bands like Sodom, Battery and even Mayhem contributed to them to make a step forward in the underground. Fast drums create a dark atmosphere of terror and darkness. Emotionless, everything turns to black. My favorite track from this demo is Behind the Black Door. Guitar riffs are perfect, a real explosion of energy, and certain riffs reminds me to Mayhem songs like Necrolast or Death Crash. This demo is a real slap in the face. Destroys everything that kills inside. Music is catharsis. In early 1988, Kalle was kicked out from the band because of his motor passion. Stipen talked about this in one interview. He had no interest any longer. He slept on the floor in the rehearsal place when we were doing new songs. He began to be a really mutant poser and now he doesn't even listen to the music. At his place a new vocalist, Roga, real name Roger Peterson, that was in another band called Hellfire. With this new brutal voice, they started to write new material and after that they recorded their second demo called The Realm of the Dark. During the same year at Tuna Studio in Eskilstuna. Through cassette format only, they sold around 400 copies. The cover art of this demo was created by Wim Balus, a writer for a metal magazine from Netherlands. About this demo, they are very loyal to death thrash metal vibe and fusion like the previous demo. Rugged brutal vocals show to have talent. Fast drums change the tempo to give flexibility to the songs. The album of Sodom Persecution Mania is the teacher for this demo. My favorite track is The Souls of the Dead. The scream of despair mixed with guitar scales and fast drums express pain and darkness, and it's really good. The vocal style of Roger reminds me to Battery and Slayer, faster and raw. About the lyrics of this demo, the themes are clear: darkness, fate loss and war. There's no light beyond life. It contains a critique against Christianity and it even describes death in all its form. Paying for sins, asking if God exists, hiding in the dark from death, and when that advances, there's no tomorrow. Hatred going inside through voices in the head, getting crazy. They even talk about war. The end is near, seeing corpses all around, dying in fear and with no peace. Damned souls wait in the end, fears and tears impossible to keep inside, fighting against the enemy asking who will survive, no one. A real dreadful fate. Next release is the most important of their own career, and I'm talking about The Awakening. Same lineup, same dark energy and aggression. There is a little story behind the recording of this album. Swedish death metal book contains these words by Carlen, the bassist, where he confessed that it was recorded during July 1989, always in Eskilstuna, in 1 week more or less. Released in February-March 1990, an important band was in the studio the last day they were recording, and I'm talking about Mayhem. Yes, because Merciless were in contact with Dark Like Silence, the Euronymous label. They exchanged letters and they came for a visit. Memories of Euronymous drinking Coca-Cola, talking about an East European tour that never happened, and Dad was talking about experiments he was doing inside the house where he was living in Norway. According to Carlen, they were excellent guys. Stipen expressed his opinion about Euronymous. Yeah, Euro really spends all the time and money he has to get Merciless the good PR. I think he's doing a great job. Without him, we would just be a demo band just now. He is great. The cover art for this release was The Vision of the Valley of the Dry Bones by Gustav Doré, produced by Stefan Dahlström. Analyzing the structure of this album, I could say that it's very fast and death thrash metal structure like demos. Change of tempo in the entire album from faster to faster, because for Merciless, pain needs to be killed inside, and when pain is devouring you, you just want to smash it. The echo effect in certain tracks of Roga gives a new perspective of evil into these new songs, expressing terror, doom metal for some seconds, and then an entire blast. In the track The Awakening, certain riffs reminds me to Metallica. Guitar and drums in this album showed to have worked really well. I like the dissonance in some tracks, very good, especially in Dying World. Some titles come from previous demo like Souls of the Dead, Drift with Fate, Realm of the Dark, and Beast of Death. Analyzing the lyrics, they talk about beyond the darkness, fighting against humanity. Death is a symbol of rebirth, rebellion against Christianity, lost soul that is wondering, I really don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Dreams full of wars of desperation, pain, darkness and hatred, past impossible to forget. There's no light, a world where it exists only pain, hunger and evil. For the album, there's even a video clip to promote the band, the famous Pure Hate track. After that, the agreement with Dark Like Silence started to have financial problems. Mayhem spent all money for other projects and for the East Germany tour. The Awakening didn't sell many copies. First, the press was limited to 1,000 and was not widely advertised. The thing for Euronymous was to remain in the underground. This is what Eric Wallin said in one interview. In the beginning, Dark Like Silence wanted to release another Merciless record, but things started to fuck up, so we knew they could never make it financially. In the beginning, royalties for the album were no problem, but after a while, they never paid any royalties. They never answered our calls or picked up the phone. We all noticed there was no point to go on with them. This is also the time when things really started to get out of hand over there in Norway. Next year, in 1991, the song Nuclear Attack was inserted into the compilation album Projections of a Stained Mind, together with Mayhem, Grotesque, Therion, Unleashed and Dismembered, to name some, published by CBR Records, a Swedish label based in Stockholm and active until 1993. With this label, they even released a split with Comic-Con band with Lars Petrov Pellestrom and Rasmus Ekman. The song was branded by Sunlight. But let's talk about how the change from Dark Like Silence to Active Records happened. Eric said this: "We were supposed to sign to CBR Records. We already knew them because of the compilation album we talked about before. I really can't say how it really happened, but suddenly we were under contract with Active Records. In the end, it was not a good thing for us because we just had problems with that label. We couldn't contact the guys behind. It was not a good deal." With this label, they published a new release called The Treasures Within, recorded at Sunlight Studio in Stockholm, summer 1991. Released exactly 1 year later, 1st July 1992. Produced by Thomas Skosberg. Cover made by Lennart Wallin. Carlen was working in the city and found this amazing painting in a gallery window. He later talked with the artist and he bought it. Photo by Michael Holmberg. Analyzing the structure of the album, I noticed the presence in some songs a new instrument, the keyboard. The death thrash metal sound is still relevant. Faster drums in some, death metal style in other tracks. Some tracks were thrash, other tracks were death. The American band's influences are very clear. Certain morbid angel wave styles are into Perry's track. Not only, even a good sequence between drums and guitar. The dissonance is really good, but a bit repetitive and not so many variations inside the album. Act of Horror shows that creativity is still active. It contains interesting guitar riffs and it's not so much fast. Dying Word was even in the previous release. Analyzing the lyrics, themes are not so much different from past works, dealing with darkness, past, hatred and tears. Reacting through aggression against this oppressive world, asking these questions to themselves, show they are incredibly intelligent human beings. Is there a God? How many gods are there? Why this life is so hard? They show to have dealt with a lot. Memories of emotions that are gone, finding the truth somewhere, living in an empty world, and how to deal with that. A constant battle, lighting a fire for demons, feeling fear and loneliness, life scenes and feeling lost. A real catharsis, this album. After they released that, Merciless were not satisfied of the sound. This is what Eric said. The sound of that record is really terrible. The 2 songs that were featured on the CBR compilation album were also recorded at Sunlight Studio. It was actually more something like a demo, and I think we got an excellent sound on that one, but we couldn't get that sound when we were recording the full-length album. I don't know what exactly happened, it was just a disaster. Not only this, Stipen, the drummer, left the band after it. This is what Eric said during the interview. The Treasures Within got released a year after the recordings took place. We just had to wait and wait. Stipen and me, we were really disappointed about how things were going. The record, The Treasures Within, never got the chance to be what it was supposed to be. I think Stipen got to the point where he really had no more inspiration to go on with Merciless, and so he left the band. After Stipen left, they found a new drummer in a couple of months, and I'm talking about Peter Stjernvind. Real name Peter Carl Gunnar Stjernvind or Stjernvind, I really don't know. Born on 11 August 1973. With this new member, they have recorded a new album, Unbound, in September 1983 at the Unisound Studios, produced by Thomas Nyqvist, founder of No Fashion Records, and mixed by Dan Swanner, the same guy that engineered the Summerlin album by Dissection. If you want to know more, go to watch my first episode of second season of Tafla Podcast, we're dedicated to Jon Novate. About him, this is what Eric said. He sure did a great job on the album and helped out as a producer as well. He was great to work with and was very engaged from minute 1 to the end. On the early recording, we never changed a note on a word in the studio. Now we did a lot of tryouts with both the sound and arrangements. There are some parts that I don't find so cool these days with chords and folkloric melody guitars. Gets a bit too dramatic maybe, but we liked it back then. The album was released on 4 January 1994, artwork by Christian Bolin, the same guy that worked with Battery covers. Go to check out on Battery Part 3. Photography by Crystal Hetman. About the sound, the production is better. Guitar riffs, very well improved and developed. Always a mix of death thrash metal riffs, good coordination between drums and guitar, evil vocals, full of darkness, dissonance, and I have noticed a Battery and Slayer influence. A good arpeggio elements are something new in their music. Brutal vocals, riffs and drums in all the album like Mayhem. Evil composition like in Nuclear Attack. Contains excellent scales and a good ending in a pure Kiss style. In Lost Eternally, there is a clean singing for the chord part. Very interesting. Flanger effect on the guitar for the dark vibe and a good evolution, and I noticed even a bass solo part. Very good. About the themes they have chosen to talk about for this new release, it's more about psychological issues, imagination, self-destruction, suicide, pain and struggles, weakness into the mind, raising hatred, fear, a relationship with the gods, ending life in the north. They even mention a deep fear like a claustrophobia, impossible to stay in small rooms for a long time, eternal torment, anger and lust. After this album, the band split up. This is what Eric said in this interview. It's really weird with the breakup in 1994. Actually, can't give you a good answer really. We were super pleased with Unbound and maybe we expected to hear that this time things would take off for us, but nothing really happened and we accused our record label for it. But to be honest, we didn't do anything ourselves to get it going with booking agencies. About touring, Merciless didn't play much live. They had the dates for the major part in Sweden only, one concert in Norway with Tribulation and other bands, but after that, not much. The reason was due to lack of interest to be big. They just liked to play and drink and not having a real business. They played one gig in 1994 in front of 400 people. They were supposed to go on tour, but it was cancelled. They had an offer from an important label, the Century Media, but they turned the offer down. So every single member after that was busy with other musical projects. They will reunite years later. So guys, it's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode and don't forget to subscribe, like and share my videos, Spotify and other platforms if you want to listen my old episodes. See you soon guys.